What's up, cuz?
It was just a regular day.
Then you got a backache. Are we in a relationship?
Follow me on Tripp Club.
I really got you to that too.
If you're new to the channel, I don't know why you ain't subscribed yet. Like, you should subscribe. Like this video. Hit that notification bell so you'll know whenever I drop a new video. Because it's only getting deeper and deeper on Triple Plug, man. And like I said, this is the place where we have real, unfiltered, thought-provoking conversations. Growing up as a kid, nobody ever told me the importance of safe sex. You know, it just wasn't even a conversation in my household. Nobody ever brought home a condom and showed me how to use it. It just wasn't something of importance, I guess, to my family. And I never really heard none of my aunts or uncles or anybody ever talking about it. You know, I think I was introduced to sex at a very young age. There was no sexual education class in my school. I know that there's plenty of schools of people say that they had that type of course or education, but in the schools where I was raised, it wasn't a course. Nobody ever taught me how to use a condom or protect myself, or taught me about different diseases that you could catch. When I first heard about HIV, I was very young, but it wasn't something that nobody even really explained to me. I think I learned most of it from just watching the news or pretty much that. I mean, from what I could remember, I do recall some talk around that it was a gay man's disease and you got it from sleeping with another man. But that's pretty much I ever heard about it. I think a couple different life lessons taught me a little more about HIV and AIDS, because I didn't really know the effect of a person that was living with AIDS, and I didn't know the difference between HIV and AIDS. I remember watching the movie Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, and that movie scared the crap out of me just to see what he was going through. And in my mind, you know, I was like, wow, like, that's not something that I would ever want to go through. Still to this day, that movie is really, really hard for me to watch. I had never met anyone or seen anyone that was living with HIV, or I, you know, at the time it was like it wasn't something that you could really tell when somebody had HIV, and I understood that, but I never met anyone that was dying of AIDS until I was about, I would say, 16 years old. I met this guy, and he was a lot older than me, and he wanted to date me and things like that. And I would hang out with him. And sometimes we would go back to his house. Now, he lived with his mother, or I should say his mother lived with him. And also, his cousin lived with him. Now, when we would go to his house, he would walk me straight to the bedroom and be like, yo, we're going to chill in here, because his mother didn't know. Or maybe his mother he wasn't ready to let his mother see him with somebody that was so young. He told me how close he was with his mother, and he told me that his cousin lived with him. And, you know, we would talk, and I said, oh, okay, that's cool. You got your cousin living with you? He was like, yeah. And he explained to me that his cousin had AIDS. Now, when he explained that to me, my mind was like, okay, I thought that was really nice of him. But I still didn't know what AIDS looked like in real life. You know, I've seen the movie, but I didn't know what it looked like. He would always tell me that that was his favorite cousin and how close they were growing up. And he would say, I want you to meet him. I told him about you and he can't wait to meet you. But every time I would go over there, he was not feeling well. So he would say he wants to meet you, but he wants to meet you when he's feeling better. So I was like, okay. But a lot of times when I was there, I felt the uncomfortable, awkward feeling. A lot of times I could hear his cousin coughing and just going through it in the back room. And sometimes it would be nonstop for minutes and minutes. And he would get up and say, well, let me go check on my cousin. And he would go back there and check on him. And when he come back, I would ask, is he okay? And he'd say, yeah, he's okay. But I could see the hurt in his eyes, and I really wasn't sure of what to think about his cousin. It was kind of like an anxious feeling. I was nervous and scared, and I kind of scared to meet him because I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to look at him a certain way. I didn't know what he would look like. But I constantly heard him coughing and just really having a hard time, sometimes even crying from the back room. And I started to develop empathy for him before I even met him. And I was wondering, like, wow, like, I'm sorry that he's going through that. So eventually I got a chance to meet him. He was feeling better. And I came over one day and he was like, I want you to be my cousin. Let me go get him. And again, I felt this anxious feeling all over me. In my mind, I was thinking, you know, Tripp, just be yourself. Be a loving person, an understanding person. Just make sure you don't have no crazy looks on your face. You know, I didn't know if I should hug him or shake his hand. I just didn't know what I would do. So he goes back in the back room and I'm standing in the living room, anxiously waiting to meet him. And he comes up. And that was the first time I ever seen anybody that was dying from AIDS. When I seen him, he was very frail. I mean, it's unexplainable how skinny he was. I don't know how big he was before it, but I knew that his weight had a lot to do with him battling his, HIV, AIDS. He walked with a limp, like it was something wrong with his legs. His face was sunken in, so much so that you could see his cheekbones. And when he came out, his spirit, I could feel his spirit. He was so happy. And he was like, "What's up, man?" And I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, I heard a lot about you and this and that." And he came over to give me a handshake, and I shook his hand. That was it's the first thing that I thought to do, to just shake his hand. And he started talking and smiling and laughing, and I was talking back with him and laughing, and was like, "Yeah, man, how you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm doing good." And his spirit was just, I wouldn't have never been able to tell he was battling anything if I couldn't see it. I remember his smile and just how nice he was to me. And we talked for a couple minutes. And he said, "What y'all doing?" We said, "We about to go to the movies." He was like, "Okay." Asked us what we was about to see and things like that. And he was like, "Yo, have a good time and nice meeting you." And when he was walking back, I know this time, in my mind, I wanted to give him a hug. I don't know why. Maybe I felt like the handshake I wanted to show him some type of love. So, it was like he about to go back into the room, and, nice meeting me, and we went to shake hands again, and I went in and I hugged him. And that was my way of showing him, "You good, man. I got love for you. I care. I want the best for you," even though I didn't know him. I felt good about that. So after I met his cousin, we had a little discussion about it in the bedroom while he was getting dressed and getting his things together so we could leave. And I told him how I felt about it. I was like, "Wow, man, he's amazing. He's a good person." He was like, "Yeah, he is." And I was like, I could feel it. I could tell. I could tell why that's your favorite cousin. And it was like I honestly didn't know how I would feel meeting him. I was anxious and nervous, and I just didn't want to make him feel any type of way. He was like, "You did good." And I was like, "I did?" He was like, "Yeah, you did good. He really likes you." And I was like, "Did I seem awkward?" And he was like, "No." And he was like, "I don't let everybody meet my cousin, but I knew you could do it and you wouldn't make him feel no type of way." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got you. Nobody should make him feel no type of way." And he was happy and he was smiling. He was like, "I'm glad that y'all met." And I think he had a whole new respect for me. Here I am, this young person. I've never met anybody with AIDS. I've heard so many things at this point and seen things about how it affects you, and it was something that I was scared of. But showing empathy and love to that person, I knew that it wasn't something that I could catch from touching somebody. But I knew that whatever he was dealing with was something that I couldn't even fathom. And I knew that all that I knew how to give him in that moment was love and a smile and just to make him laugh for a second. That's all I could do. So I felt good about that. Later on, I heard that he passed away. And I was really just happy that when he met me, that I could make him smile. That situation taught me a lot about humanity, understanding, protecting yourself. I think that life situation taught me more than my parents could have taught me or any sex education could have taught me. I seen him suffering and having to deal with that in that moment. I knew that was something I never wanted to go through. It was something that was also very fearful for me, like I was scared of it. I think going to jail, juvenile, like I did at a young age, 14 years old, and that's around the age where a lot of guys start exploring their sexuality and, messing around with girls or doing different things like that. I feel like in some ways being in juvenile protected me from a lot of that, and then when I got out, I jumped right into a relationship that lasted 7 years. And that also protected me because it took me pretty much through my 20s. Relationships have really protected me from a lot of the things that a lot of gay guys go through as far as going out and meeting different guys and being exposed to a lot of different men. But I always had empathy for anyone that was dealing with that. I would meet people. I would always assume that there's a possibility that anybody that you meet could be HIV positive. Now, a lot of times people won't tell you their status for whatever reasons. I think morally, a person should, if you're going to be intimate with someone, then you should give them the option to choose if this is something that they want to do. A lot of people still don't understand HIV, and a lot of people are still fearful of it. So morally, I feel like it's not right to withhold, that type of situation from somebody that you're being intimate with. The problem is a lot of people are intimate with people that they don't know and they don't trust. And when you just sleeping around with random people. You don't trust them with that kind of information. You're not comfortable enough with yourself to tell someone that, because a lot of times the sexual act happens way before you get to know the person or actually know their character or who they are as a person. You know, if you tell every single person this that you trying to get to know, you know, by the end of it all, maybe a lot of people would know and your business would be all over the street. Now, I think protecting yourself is your job. Because like I said, morally, a lot of people won't do that or give you that option to choose. So you have to assume that everybody that you sleep with could possibly be HIV positive. You just got to put that in your mind, you know, and operate that way. Be safe. Wear a condom. It's your choice. It's your body. You know, I know a lot of people say it doesn't feel as good or, you know, this or that. And I understand. But your life is worth more than a couple minutes of pleasure. You know, just choose wisely. If you're going to get into a relationship with somebody and y'all want to talk about having unprotected sex, make a doctor's appointment together. And then y'all could see, you know, what's going on with each other, and y'all could decide from there. But like I said, you never know when a person is being disloyal or cheating on you or creeping and sleeping around with other people. So it's really your choice of how you want to protect yourself. Don't put your life in the hands of another person that's flawed and not perfect. You know, and we trust people so much. We trust people with our own lives sometimes. But should we? Even though I went through that situation when I was younger, in my mind, I still didn't want to be with someone that was HIV positive, or I think I still had some negative way of thinking about it. Until not too long ago, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, a friend of mine's, and we were close friends. We talked about everything, you know, and he would go on different dates, and he would always tell me about the dates that he was going on. And he's a great person and really just wanted love. And this day I realized how great he was, and that he was actually a better person in some ways than me. So he comes and he tells me about this date that he went on. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. You had a good time? Yeah, I had a good time. He's a really cool dude. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. So y'all gonna see each other again? Yeah, I think we're gonna see each other again. I like him. And then he tells me that the dude told him that he was HIV positive. Now, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? Not the fact that he told him that he was HIV positive, because I thought that was commendable, you know, and brave. and morally correct for him to share that with him. I didn't understand why he would share it with him on the first date, but you know, some people just like to get it out there. So when he told me that, the ignorance in me, and that's the only thing that I could even call it, just, I said, and you want to go back on a date with him? He was like, yeah, I like him. I can see us being together. And I was like, you know, it's cool that you like him and things like that, but I feel like you're a great person, and I feel like you could find somebody that's not positive. I felt like he was, you know, I felt like maybe he was settling for someone that was positive because he couldn't find someone that he liked that was negative, or it was taking too long. I was like, no, man, I don't want you to even risk that. Like, why even risk it when you could easily find somebody, or in time you can find somebody that's negative? And he was like, so you believe that because he's positive that I shouldn't like him, or he don't deserve love? And I said, nah, I believe he deserved love, but you know, he could find somebody that's positive, like him. And we sat there and we argued, and he didn't understand. He was like, and I'm sitting there trying to get him to understand why he should try to find somebody that's negative like him. And he's telling me that he liked this person and he wants to date him. So after going back and forth for about 20, 30 minutes, you know, I left, and I actually thought about it all night. So all night long, I thought about it. And I started to feel foolish, and I can't even think of the words to describe how I felt. I thought about everything that he said. I thought about the person. I thought, you know, he didn't do nothing wrong. I thought, why don't he deserve love? And it made me put a lot of things into perspective. This could be a great person who could love him. And if he's taking care of himself, I'm sure he's healthy. He knows his status. He's not out here trying to hurt nobody. He just wants to date and find love like everybody else. So why shouldn't he have it? I felt sorry for the comments that I made. I felt sorry for telling my friend that that was somebody that he couldn't date or shouldn't date. And I needed to apologize right away. And that's what I did. The next time I seen him, I said, I want to apologize for the way I reacted when you told me about the guy with HIV. And you're absolutely right. He does deserve love. You know, and you're a great guy. If that works out, I'm sure that you could love him the way that he deserves to be loved. And that changed my whole perspective on dating someone with HIV. That situation. People is people. That's what I thought. We all battling something. Our bodies Our bodies go through different things. You know, some people will deal with cancer, another disease that's really uncurable. Some people will battle diabetes. And I thought about this guy, a friend of the family's when I was young, how he had to go a few times a week to get all his blood drained out and put back in just to live. I thought about a time I was at the doctor and I seen this older lady come in and she had a Ziploc bag with full of medications, like a big Ziploc bag with maybe like 30 different bottles of pills in there. And I looked at that bag and I said, wow. But she seemed happy and just going about her day. She wasn't ashamed of the pills. But she had to take these pills to live or to make her body act right. I think about the kids that's dealing with other immune deficiencies, lupus and so many things that people have to deal with on a daily, and no one judges them, and they could be loved. They're lovable. But they doing the same thing as this person that's dealing with HIV. Everybody will have to deal with something. If your body's perfect and you never get sick or never have to deal with any type of illness, you'll die from something. And you might not even live as long as the person with HIV. It changed my whole perspective on how I look at people. I don't have it in my heart to judge a person for something that they're dealing with. Understanding, learning as much as you can will help you break the stigma. If you ever wondering if your life matters or if anyone will love you, they will. Somebody will. Just continue being a great person. Just be the best person that you could be. Your life is valuable. You need it here. We need you here. God needs you here. Because if He didn't, you wouldn't be here. Make wise choices. And that's for everybody. I don't care what you're dealing with, what you're battling, your struggles, your addictions. You are important. Somebody loves you. Somebody loves you. You being you, you have the ability to change somebody's life, to get them to think differently. But you got to be brave. Because there's going to be so many people coming against you. You matter. Believe me, you do. I can never think the same way about anybody that's dealing with anything. We all have struggles. And we all have obstacles to overcome. You either walking out of a storm, you walking into a storm, or you headed towards the storm. You either in a storm, you coming out of a storm, or you headed towards the storm. But you got to believe that when the storm is over, the sun will shine again, because the sun always comes out. People ask me all the time, would I date somebody with HIV? Being somebody that's negative? Yes, I would. If I found a great person and they were healthy and they were taking care of themselves and they loved me the way I feel I deserve to be loved, sure. Your life is valuable too. You know? A lot of times people that's living with HIV, they're a lot healthier than the person that's not, that doesn't go to the hospital ever. Whether you're straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, whatever. If you go to the hospital regularly and check up on yourself, then you're probably in better health than a lot of these people who just don't like doctors and never go until something goes wrong. You know? Everybody deserves to be loved. Everybody is battling something. Everybody has to deal with something because our human bodies, we're flawed. Things will go wrong. If you're not dealing with something yourself, somebody you know is dealing with something. Somebody you love is going to have to deal with something. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to just love somebody and understand? Protect yourself. You know, go get tested. Break the stigma. What are you scared for? This is life. If you go get tested, you can do what you need to do to make sure that you live the best life that you could possibly live. And you'll probably end up being in better health than you were before. Don't be afraid. People are beautiful, man. You know, I get on here and I laugh and I joke. Because I like to make people smile. I don't like to be so heavy all the time, but People are beautiful. All of y'all. Y'all amazing. You know? I love people. Because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here to do. You know, I also wanted to touch on the PrEP situation. If you're somebody that's negative and you want to date somebody that's positive, or you want to be married to somebody that's positive, there's ways that you could prevent these things. You can always use a condom, or there's PrEP. And if your partner is on medication and his viral load is undetectable, then you guys will be okay. Just take the necessary precautions. Go to the doctor with your dude. You know, y'all both get checked up. Ask your doctor, what can you do to, you know, make sure you're good. You know, I see a lot of people saying that they're on PrEP, but they still having unprotected sex. And I just want y'all to know, if you don't know, it doesn't protect you from other diseases or viruses, or, you know, it doesn't protect you from all of that. Chlamydia and herpes and gonorrhea, syphilis, all of those things you can still catch while you're on PrEP. And I don't know if they're important to you because they're curable, but we gotta take the community back in our own hands and make it strong. Love one another, and loving one another is protecting one another and protecting yourself, so we can all be strong and be out here, you know. And it's something for everybody. I don't want people, this is not just a gay thing. Women, straight, men, everybody. Protect yourself. Don't put your life in somebody else's hands. That's for you to do. That's your life. It's your favorite cousin. You know, if you're new to the channel, I don't know why you ain't subscribed yet. Like, you should subscribe. Like this video. Hit that notification bell so you'll know whenever I drop a new video. Because it's only getting deeper and deeper on Triple Plug, man. And like I said, this is the place where we have real, unfiltered, thought-provoking conversations. Holla at your boy. I'm out.